I request Sanjeev sir, please sir.
ज्या ज्या स्थळीये मन जाय माझे त्या त्या स्थळीये निजरूप तुझे मी ठेवितो मग सगळ्या ठिकाणी ते ते जे सद्रूपाय दोन्ही. ओम ज्ञानानंदमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिं आधारं सर्वज्ञानं हयग्रीव उपास्मे. ओम ह्रीं क्लीं वद्वद् वाग्वादिनी स्वाहा मम जिह्वाग्रे तथा च सकल सनदी लेखापाल जिह्वाग्रे सरस्वती स्वाहा. हे बंद क्लोज नहीं ये भी माइक चालू है ना.
वो बंद कर दिया. आप आगे घूम के बोलेंगे ना.
नहीं इधर से ही बोलेंगे. लैपटॉप नीचे. Good morning to one and all. Namaskar. The coordinator, Ankush Gupta ji, Kaushik ji, the attendees, I've got so many friends in this attendance today, and my all other friends, professional colleagues, my colleague from Goregaon, Vijay Joshi. Good morning to all of you, and let me start. Even though Ankush has said that is not trustworthy, but I believe that there is a lot of practice still left for us to enter into trust practice. We normally desist from taxation or trust, or even if the Charity Commissioner's office also, we are reluctant to take up that practice. And as against it, we see all the advocates thronging there. And somewhere we have to come out of that. And the trust, practice and trust also is a major arena of our practice, our profession, which we should always keep in mind. Now, today's topic is trust and taxation, or presentation on taxation of trust. Maybe the heading may be different in your registration, but then since I had already prepared this, I thought let me continue the same heading. Now, when we talk about trust, we have only one limited knowledge of trust, that is Mumbai Public Trust Act, Bombay Public Trust Act, or Maharashtra Public Trust Act now, and then Society Registration Act. But there are two, three other acts which we are not aware, or rather we are not concerned with it, because in the day-to-day life of our profession, as far as trust practice is concerned, we don't come across those two laws. Okay. Bombay Public Trust Act, now MPT, Society Registration Act 1860, above Act is 1950, the Indian Trust Act 1882, Companies Act, Section 8 Company, Bombay Non-Trading Corporation Act, and Income Tax Act under Section 12A. 1023 is also there, but then 12A is basic registration. Okay. So these are the 6 acts under which we are covered for the public trust or societies, and our whole practice set up as far as the trusts are concerned is concerning these 6 items, I can say. Public Trust Act we know, Society Registration Act we know. There will be a session, the last session of under the Society Registration Act, MPT Act. Let me just brief you in single sentence that many times we make a confusion when you register under Society Registration Act, you automatically get registration under Bombay Public Trust Act, if you have seen it. But then you are basically covered under Society Registration Act. So any amendments to be done is basically covered under 1860 Act, not under 1950, because those two are different acts by itself. Now, section applicable to charitable trust. 2/15, meaning of charitable purpose. 1023C, income which do not form part of total income. Section 11, income from property held in trust or other legal obligations for religious or charitable purposes. Now, I will be explaining each section that way. But these are governing 3 sections under which we are covered for the trust. Then section 12, exemption of income derived by such trust from voluntary contributions, not being contributions made with specific direction, that they shall form a part of the corpus. Section 12A prescribes the conditions for registration of the trust. 12AA prescribes the procedure for registration. 12AB provision for registration and fresh registration, which is of course the domain of my colleague Vijay Joshi. Of course, his presentation also is there. So now, and then section 13 is the 12AC merger of charitable trust or institution in certain cases with effect from 1st April 2025. And then section 13 enumerates the circumstances under which the exemption available under section 11 and 12 can be withdrawn or denied. Now, section 2/15, charitable purpose includes relief of poor, education, yoga inserted with effect from 1/4/2016, medical relief, preservation of environment, including watersheds, forests and wildlife, and preservation of monuments or places or objects of artistic or historic interest, and advancement of any other object of general public utility. Now, the whole crux of this section is the last limb, that is the any other object of general public utility, wherein so many cases, so many trusts are getting suffered with that last clause. And even for the education or relief of poor also, there have been a lot of fights going on with the department. So we have to be careful in each and every aspect of our trust. First of all, our trust deed has to be very specific, what we want to do, what we want to achieve. Normally, we have tendency to put all pin to plain, all the objects under one roof of the charitable trust. We want to achieve this. But please concentrate on what exactly you want to achieve. Because otherwise, the 15, 20 clauses under the objects does not serve any purpose. And I'll come to that later on also, particularly for section 1023C, how it has been affecting the trust which are solely for education purposes, but their trust deed, which is taking otherwise, covering other objects also, including the rental of the premises. And they have suffered with the Noble Education Society judgment of Supreme Court. After that, all the trusts which are having education activities and trying to go for 1023C have been suffering. So please, while drafting your trust deed, be careful that we draft the trust deed exactly what we want to achieve. Provided that advancement of any other object of general public utility shall not be a charitable purpose if it involves the carrying of such activity in the nature of trade, commerce or business, or any activity rendering any service in relation to any trade, commerce or business for a sales fee or other consideration, irrespective of the nature of use or application or retention of the income from such activity, unless such activity is undertaken in the course of actual carrying out of such advancement of any other object of general public utility. The aggregate receipts from such activity or activities during the previous year do not exceed 20% of the total receipts of the trust or institution undertaking such activity of that previous year. The newly inserted proviso has no application to education, medical institution, or any other institution working for relief of poverty, even if it incidentally involves carrying out of commercial activities, including leasing of premises. Now, leasing of premises also, it has been considered as activity. Of course, it is not a commercial activity per se, because you have got all the schools, if you see, all of them have got a banquet, all of them have got hall, not banquet, hall, and normally they rent it out for some social purposes, social institutions, and they earn the rental income. The question comes in that when you are having any other object of general public utility, and you are getting some trade or commerce, but there are certain trusts, like the trust in remote areas, particularly Adivasi areas, when they want to employment to these people and create some trading item, and then what happens to that? So there are so many judgments also which are affecting such type of activities. So when you have a general public utility activity, we have to be careful while drafting the deed, while carrying out the activity, while doing the accounting of the activities. The newly inserted provision, that I said. Because in education activities, if you have got some, like they may have some notebooks or something, they may sell it also. So that will not affect them. Because it is not a commercial activity per se. It is related to the objects of the trust. But there are certain judgments or certain additions which have been done by the department vis-a-vis this particular activity of the commercial nature. They have taken it as a commercial nature, and there have been additions. A lot of fights are going on. I'll come to that when we go through the judgments. Definition of that way, charitable purpose has not been defined anywhere. In the Act, if you see Income Tax Act, there is no definition of charitable activities or charitable purpose. It is construed literally, it is violative of the principles of equality, and it will be unconstitutional. Merely charging of fees does not destroy the character of a charitable institution. That is the Article 40 of the Constitution of India, which have been mentioned in one of the judgments, 1023C judgment. The court should always endeavor to uphold the constitutional validity of a provision, and in doing so, the provision in question may have to be read down. Section 2/15 is only definition clause. The expression charitable purpose appearing in Section 2/15 of the Act is read in the context of Section 1023C4 of the said Act. We would have to give up the strict and literal interpretation sought to be given to the expression charitable purpose by the revenue. The revenue is always, and if you see last 5 years per se, for example, last 5 years, the revenue is against us. The revenue is trying to find out the flaws, the loopholes in your trust deed, in your accounts, and how you have been presenting that, including your 10B, 10BB form also. So again the question comes up, how you do your activity, how do you do your accounts, and how it is presented. What I have done, while doing this, I have put certain case law there itself. So instead of going for, there are certain case laws which are later on also, where an institution is not driven by desire or motive to earn profits, but to do charity through the advancement of an object of general public utility. It cannot be but regarded as an institution established for charitable purpose. There are Indian Trade Promotion Organization. Of course, there is one judgment which has come later on, ITPO. Then Institute of Chartered Accountants. Institute of Chartered Accountants, we are carrying on IT center. And there is a lot of hue and cry about IT center that we are charging fees. And our ATG had come in problem way back. I'm not saying today, it's way back. And then the court had to intervene, and ultimately court gave us a relief that this is not an activity for profits, or it's not a commercial activity. When we do IT center activities or orientation for which we charge the fees, it is for the betterment of a chartered accountant, for his personality, for his profession. Section 2/15, purpose, activities carried out by a trust of providing employment to rural poor cannot be held as commercial activity. As I said, when you are going to Adivasi areas, in remote places, not only in Thane district, but outside also, even in beyond Nagpur also, there you have to give some employment to the Adivasis for creating something out of bamboo or something out of their regular trades which the Adivasi people are having. So that activity cannot be called as a commercial activity. That is, I also quoted the Tamis Thai Seva Trust, that is Chennai Tribunal, that is 2015 judgment. advancement and development of trade, commerce and industry in India, income earned from incidental activities eligible for exemption under section 11. Thus, the incidental activities were all covered by the section 2/15 and were thus charitable in nature. In such an eventuality, the application of the section 11(4)(a), which applies only to business activities, stands absolutely negated. Thus, the income of the associate exempt from tax under section 11, that is ITA number also I have given for the judgment. The onus is on the trust to prove that its objects are of charitable nature. Therefore, following judgment, Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Indian Chamber of Commerce and Cochin Chamber of Commerce. Here I will like to give one example. There are certain organizations of the medical fraternity. Let us say Indian Medical Association. Now, there have been a lot of problems in that trust vis-a-vis income tax department, and the whole crux of the matter was you are carrying out the activities only to educate your members. What is the benefit to the general public? They tried to say that we are holding seminars and then we are educating our doctors, our members, and in turn they also do it in their own way. But then they said that is what exactly we are objecting to it. When they implement that in their own profession, that means it is not for the public. There is no direct benefit to the people. Of course, then later on, I think that has been resolved in the appeal. But then we have to be, as I said, the onus is on the trust to prove that its objects are charitable nature. What exactly are you carrying out? Such type of trust should carry out the various medical camps also, then to prove that the activities are for the masses at large. Receiving fees simpliciter is not reason enough to hold that the activity is not a charitable activity. The fundamental essence of the activity has to be seen. I was asked a question by the commissioner that do you mean to say if somebody is carrying on the classes, commerce classes or engineering classes, whether he can be called a charitable? I said if he is having trust, then it is a charitable activity. The question comes up then again the amount of fees he is charging. And ultimately, as an individual, when he does a trust formation and carries out this center for students, then he doesn't do any activity which is of charitable nature for the public. It is only for restricted students and in turn for his own benefit, though it is a trust. So there is again fight that whether that can be called a charitable purpose and whether that can be claiming exemption under 11. The true test for deciding whether an activity is business activity is whether the said activity is undertaken with a profit motive or whether said activity has continued on sound and recognized business principles. Clearly, therefore, in a situation in which an activity is not undertaken with a profit motive or on sound and recognized business principle, such an activity cannot be considered a business activity. If I am not having profit motive in my mind, the creation of profitability is by itself, through my activities, it generates a profit. But whether the generation of profit was the intention of mine or whether I worked from the generation of the surplus only, there also is a debatable point, but it has been going on since ages, since 2015. The Gujarat High Court decision in CIT of Gujarat, GIDC, now imagine a GIDC, it was held by the Gujarat High Court that where ACC Corporation was established under the Gujarat Industrial Development Act 1962 for the purpose of securing and assisting rapid and orderly establishment and organization of industrial areas and industry estates in the state of Gujarat and for purpose of establishing commercial centers in connection with the establishment and organization of such industries. It could not be said that activities carried out by SSC be either in the nature of trade or commerce or business for a cess or fee or any other consideration so as to attract proviso to section 2/15 and same could be said to be for charitable purpose and consequently the SSC was entitled to exemption under section 11. GIDC, you can see what way the income tax views every SSC under the trust. Charitable purpose again, where motive of the SSC is not generation of profit, but to provide training to needy women and men in order to equip or train them and make them self-confident and self-reliant, and occasional sales or trust own fund generation was for furthering the objects of the trust this proviso to section 2/15 would not apply. I tell you, normally we are not inclined to go through what is 2/15. In our daily course of the profession of the trust and taxation, we normally forget 2/15. But it is also equally important, rather it is a fulcrum important section which we should look into. Whenever we have the trust audit, we should look into that section first, and then the constitution also, vis-a-vis constitution, we try to relate with 2/15 and then come to the conclusion whether the trust is carrying out any commercial activity, whether trust is, what type of activities are carried out, whether the education, relief of poor, or the medical activities or environmental activities. Spending money on marriages of girls belonging to that earlier Women's India Trust was Bombay High Court judgment. Spending money on the marriages of girls belonging to a particular community, that is not that will not come in the way for 2/15. CIT Bharatiya Khatri Seva Trust and Anand Swarup Brijendra Swarup Charitable Trust. These would need review in light of section 13(1)(b). I will come to that later on. Now, section 10. Again, this also is a section very important. Rather, in our day, other than trust audits also or trust activities also, section 10, which do not form a part of total income, which we should be aware. 1023A and 1023A is that in bracket, yeah. Any income of associations, institutions established for the profession of engineering, law, medicine, accounts, architect. This covers our Institute of Chartered Accountants also. Here the income is exempt subject to certain conditions. 1023B covers the Khadi and village industries. 1020BBA covers anybody constituted under Central and State Act for administration of public endowment, which includes temples, Gurudwara, Waqf boards, or any other place of public religious worship. Now, you know, Waqf board, that discussion is going on, so we don't know what is going to be the outcome of it. The contradiction, however, is in the proviso of the section by which the income of such trust endowment of society is not exempt, but body conduct and same enjoy the blanket exemption which has been mentioned in the proviso. Proviso 1, if you see, Act national. Ten 23C 3AB, university education institutions solely for educational purposes, which is wholly or substantially financed by the government. This envisages aided school and colleges. Words wholly or substantially financed by the government cannot be confined only to annual grants or apart from providing annual grant. If government grants land, invests money in building and infrastructure, and also runs education institutions, all these factors have to be taken into consideration to decide whether the institute is wholly or substantially financed by the government in order to become eligible to claim exemption under section 1023C 3AB. 3AB is very different section. Kindly go through it. Kindly go through the judgments attached to that 3AB. Indian Institute of Management, I covered that in this section. Then, where state government was extending cash subsidy to assessor for print and sale of textbooks at low rates to reach children of deprived section of society, considering the fact that assessee was carrying on the activity which squarely falls within the definition of section 10/15 and was dependent upon finance of the state, assessee was eligible for deduction under section 2023C 3AB, that the Bihar State Textbook Publishing Corporation, it was in favor of the assessee, of course. 3AC is hospitals or other institutes wholly or substantially funded by the government. Then 3AA, Swachh Bharat course set up by central government with effect on 1st April 2015. 3AAA, the Clean Ganga fund set up by the central government with effect from 1/4/2015. Now these two funds, if you see, when Pantapradan Narendra Modi came into power, that time both the funds were set up. 3AC, any hospital or the institution for the reception and treatment of persons suffering from illness or mental defectiveness, or for the reception and treatment of persons during convalescence or persons requiring medical attention, rehabilitation, existing solely for philanthropic purposes and not for purpose of profit, and which is wholly or substantially financed by the government. Now, in some areas, there is no definition of what is substantially financed by the government. So it is said that 50% if it is financed by the government, then it is called by the financed by the government. District Health and Family Welfare Society, the judgment I have quoted, the Association Society has since been recognized as a government established sponsored entity. In essence, the association is entitled for exemption under section 10/23C 3AC of the Act. As affirmed by the Finance Secretary, Government of India, exemption under section 10/23C 3AC is automatic for entities which are wholly or substantially funded by the Government of India or a state government, as the case may be. The Government of India White Circular dated 12 December 2014 has stipulated 50% of total receipts, including voluntary contribution, to be substantial, as I said earlier. So 50% we have to see. 10/23C 380, university or education institution whose annual receipts do not exceed 1 crore, which means any institution having gross receipts beyond 1 crore will not enjoy the blanket exemption. Now that has been raised to 5 crores with effect from 1/4/2022 by Finance Act 2021. Here the question comes up, there is one blanket exemption. If it is less than 5 crores, you are entitled for blanket exemption 380. If it exceeds beyond 5 crores, you have to seek specific order from the department. Then, but of course, now the questions are coming up whether they are having any other activity, like as I said, rental. Noble Education Society judgment has affected many trusts which are coming on 380. So we have to be careful. Queen's Education Society, that judgment I have quoted of Supreme Court, 2023 3AE, hospital or medical institution whose annual receipts do not exceed 1 crore, again that also is raised to 5 crores. Nehru Prasudika Aspatal Samiti, 2014 judgment. Now 10/23
I think
C.
here 5 crores is given as a total exemption
Yes,
limit, which
yes.
means we in the practice we see there are multiple organizations, like one institution, one trust has got number of education institutions or maybe
Schools.
number of hospitals, right? And earlier it was per such hospital or per such institution 1 crore limit was there, but now they have capped it to 5 crores, which is applicable to the trust and not per institution.
All of them together.
All of them together.
So I got a case wherein there are 17 schools under one roof and one trust. And then all of them put together, if it doesn't exceed 5 crores, yes, they receive blanket exemption. But if it exceeds 5 crores, then they have to seek a special permission under 3AD and 3AE. Then 3AE, as I said about same hospital again. Hold that. A 4. Particular. Where it must have gone?
Slide number E
Oh.
slide है.
इसके पहले वाला पहले वाला
Slide है.
और
कितना नंबर? कितना नंबर?
हाँ Any charitable trust approved by the prescribed authority, which is Chief Commissioner or Director General, having regard to objects of trust and importance throughout the India or state, throughout the state or states. Now that is the Principal Commissioner, not Commissioner of Income Tax. Then I have mentioned India International Center, 10/23C/5, institution for wholly for public religious purposes or charitable purpose as approved by the Chief Commissioner or Director General with effect from 1st July 2007. Then it has been Principal Chief Commissioner on 1/4/2022. Instead of C of India, I have already mentioned about revenue had not found any violation of Section 13 of the Act. We also noticed that DGIT exemption had not found any violation of Section 13 of the Act in the impugned orders. Further, it has also not been contended before us that the petitioner has violated Section 13. Thus, this dispute also stands concluded in favor of the petitioner. That is, I told you we are running the two centers. One is IT center, one is orientation center. In view of the above, we allow these writ petitions and set aside these two orders dated 13th April 2012 and 28th September 2012 passed by respondent DGIT, and further direct DGIT to recognize the petitioner as eligible under Section 1023C4 as an institution established for charitable purposes, having regard to its object and importance for the assessment year. Imagine 5 years, 2006-7 to 2011-12, subject to petitioner complying with the other provisions of the Act. Now, this happened with our institute. 1023C6, any university or education institution solely for educational purposes which are not financed by the government but which are approved by the prescribed authority. In favor of their judgment I have quoted, profit is not just to be utilized for public charitable objects, and in case of an education institution, capital expenditure incurred wholly and exclusively for educational objects is entitled to exemption and would not constitute part of total income. Pine Grove International Charitable Trust, the judgment of Punjab and Haryana High Court. Application of income is required to be applied in India. American Hotel and Lodging Association. Venue Charitable Trust versus DGIT, report 18 June 2018. Just because fees are being charged and society has categorized of patients denied under Section 12 was not justified. Against the assessee, money advance. Now here comes that Noble Education Society with the judgment which have created a furor in Section 10 and with all the trust which were claiming exemption 1023. If you see, earlier 1023 did not have the ATG provision. Later on they brought that provision of ATG also. So people were, when they were doing 1023C, they were worried, now we don't have ATG. So they started going for 12A. But then earlier when they were having 1023C registration or blanket exemption, they were not, nobody was concerned with their other activities like, rental of premises or anything else, or their object clause in the trust deed. After Noble Education Society, this has come into picture, and many trusts are now converting themselves to 12A, or they are rather gone for 12A instead of sticking to 1023C. Yep. Yes, yes. No, if you are claiming on 1023C, 1023C, if you are claiming under that, maybe to medical institution also which are having less than 5 crores, but if you are having other objects, then you may be caught by a Noble Education judgment. And since it, okay, yes. But then now the amendment has come out to that. If you are going for capital expenditure, how it will be attended? So it is not just a blanket thing, which we used to do previously. One trust used to give to another trust. Now when it is capital expenditure or other expenditure, only 85% will be considered.
In fact, now 1023 sunset clause is also introduced by last budget.
Yes.
So therefore, 1023C 4, 5 and 6 trusts have to compulsorily convert into 12A. Either
yes.
When the duration is over, their permission is over. Either they must have converted earlier by their choice, but if not, then by whenever that duration ends, they have to convert by 12A.
Yes, yes. This section requires institutions should exclusively exist for education. It is advised that the trust should not have objects of general public utility. While calculating limits of the gross receipts of 1 crore to raise to 5 crores with effect from 1st April 2022 with the Finance Act 2021, all fees, grants, donations should be included. Sir, all things are to be included. For the purpose of exemption 1023C, any university or education institution, hospital or other institution referred therein shall be exempt if it is wholly or substantially financed by the government. For any previous year, if the government grant to such university, hospital or the institution exceeds 50% of the total receipts, including any voluntary contributions of such university, hospital or institution, as the case may be during the relevant previous year, Rule 2BBB. Registry under 12A is not conclusive of a right to exemption under or approval under 1023C. That is All India JD Education Society judgment of 2001. And say if you have seen now with the onslaught of new scheme, new regime, you have lost that way ATG benefit. So many trusts, even if they are insisting we should need ATG, there is no point. People give donation, but then it is lost. If out of 7.5 crores of returns which are being filed, out of that nearly 70 to 75% returns are under new scheme, now the relevance of ATG has gone. So even if you lose ATG or you are not granted, of course it should not be with retrospective effect. Cancellation, many times I got some cases in appeal wherein the cancellation has taken place with retrospective effect. And then they say, don't worry sir, we will not be communicating to the respective ITO that we don't have time to go through each and every donor from 10 BD and convey to the each ward. It is not possible. So even if you have lost ATG, it has been cancelled retrospectively, it will not affect the donors.
This is a practical tip.
Now, when I was sitting with CID exemption in Pune, one parliamentary question was there, which they were supposed to address. The parliamentary, some member of parliament had asked a question that please communicate to us how many trusts are there in last 3 years, how many trusts have received the donation and what is the amount of donation. Give us year-wise breakup. Imagine though we are filing on portal, don't you think it is difficult for them to also, have the accounts drawn from the portal, write it down and then convey. They might convey some figure and get out of it. But then it is difficult to convey those figures and that too with parliamentary question, they have to answer.
In fact, many of the trusts whose income is below taxable limit have not to file mandatorily returns. So many of the trusts are also taking a benefit of that. So probably many trusts are not filing the returns. 139(4)(a).
And that too, 131 starts with the section. If your income is above taxable limit threshold, then only you are supposed to file the return. Now, majority of the people have got some TDS. Now that even trust will have TDS impact of FD, even it may be a small trust like thing. And many trusts have suffered because of non-filing of the return. The way it has happened in societies, cooperative credit societies, in the past nobody used to file the return. And all of them they were under survey, or I am talking a case of assessment 12, 13 to 15, 16. So the filing of return, I think we should go by it.
Sir, on cooperative society aspect, one society member told me that because sir, you asked us to file, we filed and now we are under ATP 2D denial when we did not, we were enjoying. So that is the stand at the perception of the cooperative society members.
Yes, yes. Any hospital or medical is not existing for solely philanthropic purpose and approved by the society. Any application for approval under section 1023C 6A cannot be rejected merely on the ground that chemist shop was being run in the hospital premises. Now again it has got relevance with Noble Education Society. Sudhir. Again that Supreme Court judgment, even though it is not an educational institution, it's a medical institution. But then they are having any other activity other than the medical facility which they were providing. But a chemist shop is part of my activity. But then that has been decided in their favor. What is relevant is activities. Birla Vidya Mandir Trust, the judgment points out, Calcutta High Court, even if there has been actual use for non-educational but philanthropic purposes covered under Section 11, the exemption under Section 1022, now Section 1023, could be considered, and other income used for philanthropic purposes can be considered for relief under Section 11. This circular was followed in following cases, but then we have to see what impact it has got from Noble Education Society, whether it will be covered by the judgment of Noble Education Society, though it is applicable for education institution and not for, of course, it's a Vidya Vihar Trust, so it's an educational institution. So let us see what has been impact on that Noble Education Society judgment on this Appijay Medical, Bombay, Kerala Samaj, Bombay, also Circular 194. In all the above cases, in 5 to 6 to 6A are also covered by Rule 2C, 2CA and Form 56 and 56D. आपल्याला ऍक्ट अँड रूल नाही मिळणार म्हणजे ऍक्ट अँड रूल मिळू शकतात नाही तोच रूल्स टू हा ना 56D फॉर्म पडले this is amendment by 2017. 19 proviso to section 1023C provided that where the fund or institution referred to subclass 4 or the trust institution referred to subclass 5 has been notified by the central government or approved by the prescribed authority as the case may be, or any other university or education institution or any hospital or medical institution has been approved by the prescribed authority under notification or the approval is in force for any previous year, then nothing contained in any of the provision of this section other than clause 1 thereof shall operate to exclude any income received on behalf of such fund or institution, as the case may be, from the total income of the person received thereof for that previous year. Despite this amendment with effect from 1st April 2015, there have been no cases of such denial to my knowledge so far. There have been lot of amendments through various proviso by Finance Act 2021 with effect from 1st April 2022. There have been lot of debate as to whether registered under section 12AB and section 1023 simultaneously, which we spoke earlier. That earlier people were only having 1023C, but they were also having 12A because they want to take benefit at 80G. And then there was confusion. But then when this new thing has come up, Vijay, when new amendment has come 12AB, and then they have said no, only you have to go for 12A. You cannot have simultaneous registration. And 1023C they had got earlier, but now it is lost totally. Identical amendment was made by way of expression to section 11. Any amount credited or paid out of income referred to class A or class B related to section 1 to any other trust or institution registered under section 12AA being contribution with a specific direction that they shall form the part of the corpus or trust shall not be treated as application of income for charitable religious purposes. Any donation by an entity registered under 12A to any other entity registered under section 12A with the direction that such donation shall form part of the corpus shall not be treated as the application of income for charitable purposes. हा खूप मोठी very. When we wrote this book, this was in 2022, all four of us we wrote this for WISC. Corpus donation to other trust not treated as application. Same thing which has been also mentioned in our book. Proviso 12 to section 1023C further provide that any amount credited or paid out of income of any fund, trust or institution approved for the purpose 1023C 4, 5, 6, 6A to any trust or fund or other institution registered under or approved under 12A, 12AB, 1023C 4, 5, 6, 6A by way of corpus donation, the amount donated shall not be treated as the application of our donor trust. Which we mentioned just now. So we have to be careful again. Another thing is, in that context also I will say, when you accumulate the funds for some specific purposes, you have to spend by yourself. You cannot give donation of that accumulated funds to some other trust for their activity. Then it will not be considered as a application for the purpose of that accumulated fund set aside. We don't realize this, and now that we have yet to come to accumulation, I'll just say, since I may forget, that people have got some impression that I have filed, my trust has filed Form 10. The matter is over. But then when you accumulate the funds, it has to go through your income and expenditure account. It has to be funds set aside. Some people, some trusts which have come to me for appeal, I have seen they have filed Form 10, but accumulation is not reflected in the accounts, not books of accounts. No resolution, though they forward the resolution along with the Form 10, but there is no resolution in the minutes which have been covered. For the sake of Form 10, they have done it, but it is not covered in the minutes. So be careful that it has to be accounting entry, accumulation or set apart. You are setting apart the fund. You are keeping certain funds out of your profits for a particular purpose. So that purpose should be specific. It can, some people say, object of the trust. Make a very vague nomenclature, which is not allowed. You have to be very specific or specific object. You may say building, you may say your activity, select some heading for the activities. Otherwise, it is not permissible. You may be hit by the department. So be careful about it.
In respect of
Yes.
in respect of accumulation, the concept is that the amount is kept outside your regular use, accumulated for a specific purpose. That's what the section presupposes. So whether it is 9A or 10. 9A speaks of expenditure in the subsequent year because you have received it last or whatever difficult.
Interest accrued which are received less.
But for 10, it is 5 years limit. From April 21, the Finance Act has made changes. Therefore, every accumulation prior to that and every accumulation post that are treated differently.
Differently.
Accumulation prior to Finance Act 20 and after. Please try to understand. And in the case of post 20, the accumulation has to be specifically shown in the investment 11.5, right? Approved modes. And that has to be reflected. In fact, when you're showing, you must show it in the accounts that prior to 20, this is accumulation. Otherwise, you land up in trouble because your entire accumulation will have shown on the liability side, but on the asset side, their investment could be in different modes. Now, you want to take benefit of non-eligible investments prior to 20 and post 20 eligible, you will not be able to fight your case properly. That is why this is very important. This is a very important point.
Yes.
No. First of all, these funds have to be out of your receipts.
It should not be used for your daily activities. Even you keep a set of building fund.
It should not be used for just simplicity or object. There has to be specific object, specific purpose, specific reason, right? Because ITO has to be convinced that you have set aside this for whatever specific purpose. And this has to be invested in modes approved under 11.5.
11.5.
And this has to be shown separately in the books of accounts, that is in the balance sheet or financial statements. And therefore, it is a responsibility of every one of us as an auditor. The point he is trying to convey is this, to check this. March ending, whichever
The year in which you accumulate.
Funds are for which year? Whichever year that you are accumulating for a certain financial year.
Yes.
Whatever.
Out of, but then profit has to be arrived after putting that accumulated amount.
Wait. I see. It need not be out of profit. It can be out of receipts. In certain cases, because of accumulation, there is a deficit. See, after 23, the deficit is not permitted to be carried forward. That is different. But for the trust, it is out of receipts. It is not necessarily out of profit. You are carving out certain receipts. See, the word used is receipts. It is not profits. That's it. So therefore, you did not wait for preparation of your financial statements, the income and expenditure. And resolution has to be there. And specific purpose has to be there. So all these conditions. Conditions must be complied for approval of 10. Otherwise, there is a valid rejection.
If you write, for objects of trust.
5 years we cannot make. We will not use, suppose. Then that year, next year it is taxable as a maximum rate or?
No. Now what has happened is, he has accumulated certain funds out of receipts, right? And accumulated for 5 years. And he has filed an application under Form 10, right? Now that ends in assessment year financial year 26-27, which means March 27,
yes.
He has to spend it. In the earlier provision, it would have been added to the income of the trust post 27. But now with the amendments in 23, it is added within 26-27, which means assessment 26-28. Therefore, within 5 years he has to spend, not post
And you cannot have accumulation out of that deemed accumulation.
regular accumulation. See, this will be added back to your receipts. And therefore, then whatever happens to the fund. Yes? Nine A form, whatever you cannot spend in this year, you spend it in the next year. Please understand, there is a distinction between 9A and 10. Please, sir, kindly explain 9A and 10.
Or if you have got next year's in advance, should advance.
Don't credit it to your income and expenditure account.
9A is for the immediate we are spending in the next
See,
Next
9A
year.
says what? 9A says, I have received funds, but I cannot spend it before the end of the financial year or within financial year. Now, why I could not do it? There are many reasons. Either I have received it late or whatever. So, I am accumulating, filing form 9A, but I must spend it in the subsequent financial year. Kindly show that. 9A, form 9A.
Or if you take a subscription, at time you receive some in advance also. There are something outstanding, there are advance receipt of subscription also for next year. So you don't show it there. Show it in the balance sheet directly. And then next year bring it to the income.
But sir, there is always a danger of assessing officer reopening.
Ah, because you know what accounting treatment you are doing, whether it is a
Because, yes.
cash system, mercantile system, so
Yes.
everything is taken. You can expect anything from the department.
Yes.
So we have to be careful.
Yes. Yes, 11.5. Yes.
In that bank savings account also is okay. Because
Yes, yes.
11.5 also recognize savings account. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Yes, yes.
Permitted mode. Could you please be louder?
Statutory deduction, you mean? Statutory deduction. No.
15% is different.
It's a statutory deduction given. You have to spend 85%. If you can't spend 85%, give accumulation notice. 9A or 10, what it may be.
Can you be little louder? Or you can come in front. I think you'll have to repeat the query with this. Both of us are old senior people. We can't really be attending to all.
Sure, sir.
Please pardon us.
Okay. So there has been a confusion that accumulation after 1st April 2021, let's say there have been an investment under section 11.5 which was before 2021, but it got matured, and after that we made for the same fund, the same has been invested in another let's say FD or a prescribed mutual fund. So they have been considered as accumulation after 2021. But the fund which was like against, if I do the match the figures, it was before 2021. So my view is it has to be considered accumulation, like the investment before 2021 and not after 2021.
All of us are chartered accountants, and we are dealing with, we have stopped dealing with each individual and we have gone faceless.
Correct.
Why I'm making this statement is that from 18 onwards, we are dealing with machines, right? Filing income tax returns online. And therefore, the form has been devised where your figures investment and figures accumulation must match accurately for all of us. Please try to understand. Therefore, that accuracy has to be maintained. Now, how to do it is a chartered accountant's job.
Your point
But
is
if
your
there
point
are
is
two-
correct. Your point is correct.
Correct.
It continues,
Yeah.
Accumulation continues.
Correct.
Whether
No,
post,
sir,
before 20 also.
danger is pre-21 accumulation investment will be classified now as post-21. Therefore, there will be a mismatch.
Correct.
Am I right?
That is
That
what
is
the
so
issue is.
that is why I answered that you are dealing with machine. How to do it? What figures investment is a chartered accountant's job. How to do it? Not for me to advise.
No, it's just income tax.
Officer may point out this discrepancy.
Correct.
And 143(1) itself may point out this discrepancy and may
Correct.
reject
CPC,
something.
CPC can do anything.
Yes.
True, sir. Okay.
Sir, continue. We have to complete by.
See? Yeah,
Yes.
see. That Loka Shikshan Trust, this was a judgment which was argued by Nani Palkiola sir. And subsequently there have been amendment, and then now there cannot be the Lok Shikshan Trust, which was running a newspaper. Now it cannot be done.
But the principle enunciated still holds good.
Yes.
Principle enunciated in this judgment still holds good.
See, I'll just read out. However, there was reason for this because the said trust was running a newspaper, and in view of the apex court, though the newspapers have educative value, advancement of education results only indirectly and which does not come under the head of education. The above observations are there due to indirect activity. Continuing education, diploma and certificate program, management development program, public talks and seminars and workshops and conferences constitute education so as to qualify as charitable purposes under 2/15. Again, here the question comes up whether it is for the benefit of general public or not. If it is a management association and they are holding the seminars for their members to educate them for the cash flow, fund flow, critical path method and whatnot, cash flow, discounted cash flow, then whether it tantamounts to the public benefit or not, that might be the question. The mere existence of profit will not disqualify an institution for exemption under section 1023 if the sole purpose of the existence is not profit making but education activities. On the issue of the proviso 2/15, the same has been explained in circular number 11 dated 19th December 2008. From the said, so it appears that a newly inserted proviso to section 2/15 will apply to entities whose purpose is advancement of any other object of general public utility. That is if it exceeds 20% of the total gross receipts, then any of the object of general public utility, it will be hit by that last limb of the section 2/15. Saurashtra Education Foundation, the court has explained that though the education institution and institutional activities are closely interconnected in section 11A(1)(a), read with section 2/15, it is the activities which are relevant, whereas in section 1022, now 1023, both the institutional activities are in focus. An education institution is therefore more than a body carrying on charitable activities in the field of education as contemplated by section 2/15. I have seen certain balance sheets of the certain schools and the trust which is running the schools. They do not consider the education expense of the various their schools under them, like 16, 17 schools from primary school to the junior college. They don't consider. I don't know how it was managed in the accounts of the trust.
And sir, who is the chartered accountant advisor?
Always. Section, again that 2/15. I'll have to 1023C, education institution. Again, I think, let me just jump for the 10/23C. A lot of things have been medical relief. Yes. If you can, we can share the PPT later on through WIRC, so that you can get the. That's section 11, that Artificial Limbs Manufacturing Corporation of India. It was carried out for providing the artificial limbs to needy people. Here, the medical activities, I told you are cases with me. They are carrying out activity for their members as a medical fraternity. Then I could tell them that you please conduct some camps, medical camps, and preserve the proofs of newspaper cutting or the photographs, so that you can say that it has been carried out for the general people and masses. It is not only for my own members. So we have to be careful about that. Really for poor, religious purpose. Not surprising, there is no definition of religious purpose. The way there is no definition of charitable purpose, it's an inclusive definition. Charitable purpose includes. Same way, religious purpose, there is no definition of religious purpose under the Act. Now what happened? Let us say Ganeshotsav Mandal or Navaratri, they do Navaratri Utsav, but then during the Navaratri or Ganesh Utsav, they also have some activity which are thought-provoking. Prabodhan बोल सकते उसको. So if that type of activity is carried out, it is our responsibility that such type of activities are taken separately and disclosed under the educational activities. Because if you take puts everything under religious activities, then your ATG will be hit if it is exceeding 5% of gross receipts. So we have to be careful while doing that accounting or while doing the disclosure for the purpose of balance sheet. We have to be very careful.
I would advise people to refer to the Shiva Mandir Panchasanstan Committee's Nagpur bench judgment, which actually defined what is religious and what is not religious. Okay, so there it said that visiting, I mean, I'll give the example. Visiting a temple and folding my hands and in the prayers, it's not a religious activity, but it's a yoga activity where I'm setting my mind. So this is the thought process in that judgment. I would simply not elaborate more for time, but that judgment is so eye-opener that what is religious is to be defined, is to be interpreted, and is to be presented by chartered accountants in a proper manner. I'm not saying for making excuse or escapement of tax provisions, no. But it should be interpreted properly. That is the request for all. I'll give the letter.
Like suppose, we have got a practice of putting kirtans.
So you can put it on this net, Shiva Mandir Panchasanstan Committee, Nagpur bench.
We have got kirtan seva during the Navratri or during Ganeshotsav. Now, it is for the prabodhan. It is for the educating people. It's a sanskar, which is not a religious, not necessarily religious one. So we have to be careful while doing the computation, while doing the balance sheet, profit and loss account, what way we are putting the headings. Advancement of other object, I'll skip this because there is again the same discussion. Gujarat Maritime Board, the same thing in the object. Devi Yoga Mandir Trust, again yoga was later on brought in.
Incidentally, on the yoga object, any application of income outside India is objected to except for yoga object.
Yes.
So that is the distinction between, fine distinction between application
That
of
is
income.
after Prime Minister introduced the yoga in outside India also. Now, again, this 11th section is, it's a hitting section for all of us, and the way the income tax department is taking advantage of this section or disadvantage of this section, we have to be very extra alert on 11. 12 is okay, that's a registration process, 12 is a registration process. There also, we are getting hit. Vijay sir's presentation is there.
I was saying just now, see, it reads, income derived from property held under trust, right? And in the end it says, such income is accumulated or set apart. Therefore, you are looking at not the profit. Income word is used in the context of charitable trust as receipts. That is the income from property.
Yes. Even that for 250 last claim also, they have said 20% of the gross receipts. 15%. Many times we people are not claiming that 15% statutory deduction which is available to us in the computation, and surprise certain computation from CPC you will find what they do, they deduct expenditure and then calculate 15%. It's not correct, because that is basic deduction which is given to you, and then you have to do the accumulation. How can you do the accumulation after remaining 15% if you consider on net income? How can you do accumulation? Then there will be loss, there will be deficit carried forward, whatnot. Outside India. Voluntary contributions. Again, here also, the corpus donation, you see, you have to include all the donations as income while putting form of ITR 7, and then take deduction for 11(1)(d) for the corpus donation. But we don't do that. We just take voluntary contribution as reflected in profit and loss account and finish the matter off. And then it will be questioned by CPC that it is not disclosed. So we have to take total donations, whether it is corpus, whether voluntary, which is reflected in the profit and loss account, income tax payable account, and then take 11(1)(d) deduction.
Sir, in many cases, many of us are now dependent on the softwares provided by many of these software providing companies.
Yes.
And then we fill up those softwares and details, and then whatever the product comes is submitted to CPC, and when the answer comes, then we say, oh, I did not write this. It is like examination where we say, oh, I wrote this, but the examiner did not like it or approve it. Therefore, we have to be very careful, and we have to be first aware of what is the legal provision before filling up the details. In fact, I would say charitable trust, even if whatever software you're using it, you must be aware of provisions applicable to charitable trusts and their taxation so that they are appropriately filled at appropriate places in the software provided. That is why this exercise.
This option to be exercised, notice to be given to the income tax officer. Now many times we hear the statement from the CA that the accounts are not ready. 30th September, you have to file the 1 month before the due date of final return, which we always miss out. And then there is a lot of hue and cry, and then we have to go in tribunal, we have to go to the CIT appeal if it is done by CPC. So 1 month before, why it is not possible?
5 months is good enough, sir.
Yes,
We cannot do it in 150 days. You will not do it in 15 days.
yes, yes.
You don't want to do it.
In fact,
You don't want to do it.
budget 25, right, has introduced a provision of giving all of us a relief up to 12 lakhs.
Yes.
And we have enjoyed that. Our clients have enjoyed that. And we enjoyed their phone calls. But it comes with a condition. The condition is that the return must be filed
Yes.
within time provided under 139(1). Therefore, that habit must be put on by chartered accountants, not by the clients. Please try to understand. We must force our client, and therefore we must pursue him. We must do all this. We cannot simply rely, oh, you did not come to me. Otherwise, we must refuse the work. I'm going a step ahead. Because,
You will give the documents on 29, then
yes, you must refuse the work.
you should forget, sorry, I cannot do it.
Simple.
If you say yes, come, then
Because the time has come where we have to be proactive. The finance minister is asking us to be proactive, saying that, oh, you file this, you do this, your compliances.
And now there are certain relief for small trust. The relief has come about a technical defect or technical mistake which has happened. That need not be the case for cancellation of the registration. as 85% excess option that I have come to. I have given certain case laws also on that. Correct? Yeah. Here, this particular judgment was there, accumulation and then there is a deficit and carried forward. I got a case wherein we have got 2 crore deficit of earlier carried forward. Every we make a mention of it. Of course, we don't depend on that deficit, because something will hit and they will be paying heavy price. So instead of that, we keep on accumulation also simultaneously, so that we are not hit by this proviso. Of course, if you see, Vijay, the tribunal has been very proactive in favor of the assessees. If you see 10 BB cases, 10 B cases, 10 Form 10 cases, they have been very active, proactive rather, with the assessees, and the form not filed before the due date. I mean, the due date is about 30th September. So 31st August, your form has to go, or if it is 30th November, the form has to go 31st October. We are careless about it, and then we are ending up with the tribunal or the CIT appeal if it is CPC matter.
But now there is a circular for condonation of delay by commissioner.
Yes.
So that circular also can be beneficial for condonation of delay, where if there is a delay, one may apply to commissioners, principal commissioner.
But of course, if you see 10B and 10BB, the delays mostly it is concerning the auditors. And then auditor has to give affidavit. Now what reasons can he give in the affidavit? My staff was not there. You have signed the balance sheet on 13, let us say, for example, which case I got. 13 September 2019, he has signed the balance sheet. 24th September, the AGM was held. Everything was in place. And the return was filed on 24th December 20, against the due date of 30th November, extended due date. And the audit report, 10BB, was also filed on 24th December. What reasoning? What way I can draft affidavit for that auditor? Tell me, okay, I can only say the person was given the charge of this audit report. He had left office. He has not reported. He has never informed us. But it is our duty. So we have to be careful when we sign 10BB or 10B, as the case may be, and then it should go in time before the due date.
I think we have to now put on the habit of giving up that window of 60 days, right? And we should be very particular of when we are signing and when we are giving those UDI and dates.
We will be coming out with another book. This was 2022. Now with all amendments and all the judgments, we'll come out with another book with the WRC for these amended provisions. Extra the option. It should be. Huh? I think if everything goes well, not more than 2 months. So we should try to be within April or May. April, May. Yeah. Of course, we have to consider the chairman who is taking the charge now and see that it is done. Theosophical Society, excess of the option. Yes. Even Theosophical Society, they had refused the registration because they say it's a religious activity. But then Theosophical Society, it gives you thoughts. It gives you thought-provoking, the lectures. So they could contain that, and they got the registration back. In certain cases, I have seen that people do not claim the expenditure on capital, capital expenditure for the purpose of deduction from the income. We have to. One thing, it is the application of income, which is clearly mentioned, and another thing, we don't get depreciation. So instead of depreciation, you are getting entire asset written off from the income, which we miss out. And when we see the balance sheet, there was a 65 lakhs was addition to the building, which is not claimed. Now I have to revise computation. The revised computation is not reflected in my return of income. But then again, so it's a matter of fight with the department. It will end up in tribunal, of course. What cannot be treated as application is only the donation made out to accumulate income. The AO desires that there should be clause in trust permitting donation to other charities, which is always missing in many of the trust deeds which I have seen, that the help to other charities is not mentioned. Leave aside whether out of accumulation or out of regular practice, but then we don't have that provision in the trust deed. We may have provision that if it is dissolved, then it should go to some other trust and similar objects. But helping other charities or other trust is normally missing in our trust deeds. That should be done. Section 3, any income referred to in subsection 2 which is applied to purpose other than charitable religious purpose as aforesaid, say, or ceases to accumulate set apart for applicants thereto, or ceases to remain invested or deployed in any of forms other than or modes specified in subsection 5, or is not utilized for the purpose for which it is so accumulated or set apart during the period referred to clause A of that subsection, or that immediately following the expiry thereof, is credited or paid to trust under 12 AA or to any other fund or any university institution shall be deemed to the income of such person previous in which it is so applied or ceases to be so accumulated or set apart. The question which you are dealing with, whether that accumulated fund should be reflected in the banking channels or the investment modes which have been specified under 11.5. When we pass on the PPT, you can give us your questions or you can relate your questions to us. We will definitely reply to your questions also. Property held under trust, income such under in accordance with the provisions of this act. Now another thing which we have got that notion that headwise computation is necessary. No, the section does not speak about headwise computation. Section 14 is not applicable to us. So we have to see that every income which is earned by the trust is income from property held for charitable purposes. So there is no headwise computation required, like income from house property, capital gains, business profits, like that.
In fact, in the charitable trust area, the income has to be divided between whether it is revenue or capital. So once you divide that and you identify that, your computation becomes quite easier. Similarly, on the application side, whether it is revenue application or capital application. So on both sides, though, as he rightly said, capital investment is also eligible for deduction. So one can always, whatever application is made on capital asset is also allowed as application. But then that is the principle, that is the basic thought, revenue and capital, not as against headwise income. That's what the point is.
When we come to 11.5, mode of investments, in that there was one typical case, the trust had borrowed the money from cooperative bank. Now it's a compulsion that cooperative bank, it has to issue share capital. Unless you are holding the shares, you can be granted the loan. So that Dr. V.K. Patil Education Foundation, the cooperative for the loan cannot be treated as a violation of 11.5 because it is my obligation to invest in the share capital and I want the loan. So if I take a loan, I have to take the shares of the linking shares like concept for the cooperative bank. So that cannot be treated as a violation. That cooperative bank is not mentioned in 11.5. So whatever is not mentioned, it may be violation. So that has been covered by the judgment of Bombay High Court. And see, CBD Circular 25th July 1995, Vijay, that restriction relating to investment on 11.5 has no application on institutions covered on 1023C. Kindly pay attention to the amended provision with regard to Sri registration or fresh registration, which I have mentioned. Allowability of set of expenses incurred future assessment, income derived from property. Yes. Selling of plots and premises by SSC Town Improvement Trust was only incidental and ancillary to its main purpose driven by public requirements, not a commercial venture per se, and therefore mere profit making on account of certain incidental or ancillary activities of the trust did not disentitle SSC to examine. This is a judgment of 2020 Chandigarh Tribunal, of course. Income of the association from membership, fees from its members, specialized services and facilities, meetings, seminars and training programs, sale of publication. It is also noted that the income of the association from other non-members of the institution are more, and as such the principle of mutuality was apparently not applicable in the case of association. CITPL has rightly observed that there was no sufficient reason to deviate from the appellate order of CITPL of the early years, allowing the exemption under Section 11(1). As decided in the association's own case, Delhi Tribunal, there was no infirmity in the order of the CITPL in holding that the activities of the association were charitable in nature and association was entitled to the claim of exemption under 11. But now next week you will see not many MCA cases coming from a tribunal, or BCA also. The question is the kind of income they are having, MCA and BCA, through advertisement, whether it is for charitable purposes and whether they are charitable activity or not. That is being deliberated in the tribunal next week. Income from fees. Disallowance of investment gold bullion by association treating the same as violation of Section 11(5), where tribunal came to the conclusion. This is another point which may come up in trust which are religious trust. They always get some silver articles, silver utensils, or the even gold small articles also. And then what happens to that? Can they keep on holding with that donation which have come in the form of gold or small ornaments or silver utensils? If they want to decorate the gabhara with the silver and we melt the silver, what will happen to that?
No, the question is whether that will be treated as an application of income.
Yes. And then it has to be capital gain, because the way you have got it, we have the credit, we take it to dead stock register, the gold ornaments or silver utensils received, and then we add to the corpus or capital, rather capital only. And then we have utilization. If you melt that silver and make it for the gabhara, then whether what it tantamounts to the day on which you have received the silver articles, you have particular value. I always insist on my client that whenever you receive such type of donation, ask that person to give his valuation. He may have purchased it, so let him not pass on the bill, but let him say that this costed me 10,000 rupees or 50 lakhs rupees or 50,000 rupees. Accordingly, we take that as dead stock and then we put it to the corpus. Where the tribunal came to the conclusion that purchase of gold by association was not application of funds, but an violation of Section 11(5), and there was nothing on record to indicate that this opinion was formed by tribunal and recorded in its order after the associate had opportunity to put forth their contention. Therefore, the matter was remanded back to tribunal to consider the issue afresh. Madras High Court. Again, that way it is not religious trust, immovable property. Specified when since investment in immovable property was permitted under Section 11(5)(9), there was no necessity for associate to prove that it was done for charitable purpose. There was nothing wrong committed by associate so as to. In fact, when you raise the fund, another thing which you must observe, that when you have specific object that we want to construct a building in 5 years' time or 10 years' time, so instead of going for accumulation, why don't you take the money directly in the name of the fund, building fund, so that you are not hit by the accumulation clause at all. There is no tension that 5 years are over, how to do about it, I have not yet completed construction. It is the best way to take the money directly as a donation for capital purposes, a building fund or medical equipment fund. That we should observe. Inter-trust donation, which we have talked about how it will be viewed. Practice institute for
on the issue of inter-charity donations.
Yes.
the law as it stands today, all the donations made to other charitable trusts, two conditions. One is that the other trust should have the same objects, similar objects that the donor trust has, A. And B, whatever amount is donated, only 85% of that is allowed as application.
Yes.
Okay. Now, it differs as per the facts, because a charitable trust, whether it is educational, medical, may have some tie-up with other charitable or medical, medical institute trust or educational trust, whereby you are sharing some expenses, printing of books or whatever. So whether such amount is application of income or inter-charity donation is the aspect that auditor has to distinguish. So that is what is very important when we are looking at only. I'm not suggesting that you should cover this or you should cover that, no. But one has to go by the facts, because anytime when the reopening comes, then you should be able to justify, because when reopening comes, not only the trust, but the audit is also taken to the task because of 10B and 10BB.
What auditor is supposed to, for it is for donate trust or donor trust?
It is for the donor trust.
The donor will,
Donor trust, the donor trust,
trust which is giving donation.
obviously. So it will not be application of income. 85% only will be permitted as deduction. That is it.
Punjab Cricket Association, the way things are, MC and all going on, whether they are doing really charitable activities, the kind of advertisement revenue they are collecting, and tickets also they are selling.
I think one needs to learn, one needs to understand that by providing tax concession to charitable activity, government is foregoing certain revenue. Therefore, government intends to ensure that the revenue so foregone is utilized for the purpose for which it is being foregone, which means charitable activity. And we as professionals are intermediaries to ensure that this happens. So that broad thought must be prevalent when you are doing charitable trust taxation or audits.
See, I was telling you, they got money from BCCI. BCCI has been assessed as AOP, and which I have been party witness to the many tribunal cases of BCCI when our colleagues were arguing for the case. So BCCI, when they have been assessed as AOP and entire thing is taxed, where the question of, it's a double tax if you tax it in the hands of Punjab Cricket Association also. Again that 215 and 11. Matter remanded back. Form 10, again the accumulation, the resolution, whether it is properly promotion of sports activities, that without restriction of any caste, creed, without caste, creed and religion.
On the issue of Form 10 and the resolution,
Sir,
I would suggest that the resolution should be, as far as possible, passed by the trust before the end of financial year, before. However, for some reason, if it is not done, then it can be done even post financial year. But in any case, before filing Form 10, if not audit report, but before filing Form 10, because 10B or 10BB requires auditor to comment whether the Form 10 has been filed in time and all that.
Yes.
So the resolution has to be done before that. See, what happens is, in many of the cases, practically, these resolutions are not passed. And only when the query comes from the income tax, then you go and pass some resolution, and then you land up in these practical difficulties. So the point I'm trying to drive is that the charitable trust taxation is now getting little complicated, where we must be aware of these nitty-gritties and apply ourselves for proper application.
See, normally all the charitable trust, they are having their AGM on 28, 29 September, okay? And they say, our AGM is on 28 September, how can you file the form on 31st August? Now you are having board meeting, you are having trustees meeting, which is finalizing the accounts, which are signing the accounts, and then you give the notice for AGM. So why you cannot do accumulation in time? 1 month before. Why you cannot have resolution? You don't have to have the resolution of the AGM. It is the resolution of trustees meeting which should be submitted along with the Form 10, which we always miss out. And it has been a very problematic situation everywhere in all the trust cases, wherein they always believe that we should be passing the resolution in September AGM, which is not the case. Yes. But till that time, your bank account is there. So 11.5 that way satisfied.
So we can identify a bank account also as an investment activity.
11.5 gives the permission. It's permitted. Yes. Yes. Nowadays, all the trusts have been asked to convert their current account to savings account. Sorry, savings account to current account, vice versa.
There is also an issue of NGO Darpan.
Yes, Darpan also registration compulsory. They say RBI has directed us to do Darpan registration for all the trusts, otherwise we'll freeze your account. How can you vary the provision?
Now, what has happened is, sir, Reserve Bank of India has issued a circular to banks under Prevention of Money Laundering,
Money Laundering Act, yes.
to ensure KYC compliance for banks' clients. Earlier, this was applicable. I mean, this was made applicable by SEBI for all the investments, right? But now it is made by banks. And Reserve Bank of India has cast the responsibility of compliance with KYC under PMLA to the banks, and banks are not taking safe route that unless you do this, we will not do this. So, in Darpan, there is no law. There is no law.
Sir,
Nothing
earlier
under
we
income
are doing
tax.
Darpan only for the cases where there have been government grants, because there is obligation. But now they said everybody has to go for Darpan registration. And it's a very big form. It's 4 to 5 pages form is there. Yes. Darpan.
No. No. That is wrong.
That
That is
wrong.
not correct. I appreciate, I'm not denying, I am aware of these, but I had to fight and explain to the bank managers and officers. Corporate- Yes. Yes. Therefore, now they are forcing all the cooperative societies to close their account and convert it into current account. Yes. All cooperative societies. Cooperative societies. They are forcing, banks
Even
are
trusts
forcing
are
them.
also being forced to convert to current
Current
account.
account. Same. They can.
They have to open the
They have
current
to-
account now. Yes. They are now forcing us to go for current account. I do not know reason, because current account you don't earn any interest.
Yes. Convert
Because
into current.
it carries the burden for them. So 5%, 6% if they have to give, if you current account, there is no interest.
Basically a commercial decision of making them to, okay, go and be in the current account, not in the savings account.
We have to
Cash-
advise our
CASA
clients
deposit and
properly. I would
CASA
only simply
deposits.
say that.
But if bank still allows, then no issue, no? It is not mandatory under the law.
See, until I am allowed violation of law, I am not a violator. Only when I am caught, I am a violator.
No. Bank is
Banks.
forcing. There is no provision under Income Tax Act also, because you are going even 5 give me benefit of a savings account also. So why banks are forcing? Somebody has to, the institution has to take a lead in this matter. Either CA Institute or other,
No, but I think
public
why
trust.
CA Institute? It should be the body of trusts
Trust,
or the,
yes, but there is no
affected
body.
people. No, affected people are those.
Yes,
See, when you
yes.
and I go to there, they say, "Are you aggrieved?" You are not aggrieved. That is
Same
the
thing happens when you go for extension of the dates, for whether Charity Commissioner or with the Income Tax Act. They say, who is affected party? That means the charitable accountants are at fault. That is why you have come as a body for extension. Let the trust come. But normally trustees will always raise their hands up that you are not doing the audit in time. And that is why we are delayed. They present on no issue at all. Right. क्या हो गया बाबा?
get full expense na when asset is purchased.
Yeah, of course, yes. You get, so there is no question of depreciation. No, no, no. Earlier there was. Earlier you have to get the depreciation also because the accounting principle why you have to claim the depreciation. Hey Baba, क्या हो गया ये? What? You can claim. Yeah, you can claim. And you can add back. Kuta le bhai. Improvement trust. A. Another thing what happened is what is sought to be taxed is net profit. What is being done by the CPC, they are taxing your gross receipts or gross income. You will always find orders like that. If it is 10 BB is delayed, 10 BB is delayed, 10 form is not on record, then they'll tax whole receipts instead of going for net tax income. What is sought to be taxed is income, not the gross income. Cancelling registration, I'll come to other slides. Yes, this.
Last clause, it is for benefit of any particular religious community or caste. There's a very recent judgment which has, for the, there's a Jain community.
Jain Shwetambar.
Jain Shwetambar.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
yes.
please apprise us about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Wherein the trust was created for this community, but recently the judgment has appeared saying that that application, that charitable object is not proper because it is for the benefit of a particular community. That's what they've identified. So going forward, probably we may have to be very careful about such cases.
No.
Not allowed, exemption.
Exemption
Registration,
not
no, exemption not allowed. It is 11. Public. See, the whole trouble is we are looking at an application of charitable object. The charitable object is for benefit of public. So public at large cannot be said. So if you are looking at a community, then a small community or restricted community or the group of community, it cannot be said to be public. Therefore, that has to be distinguished. And there is a very fine line between these. So earlier judgments are different, and now there is a different thought process. What I want to drive is the different thought processes now emerged in the judiciary. So that is what I'm only trying to. Where you apply? Where you apply? 11 speaks of application. 11 speaks of exemption from tax in respect of application of income. So that has to be seen.
Say, I'll just quote one example, one judgment of Ahmedabad Rana Caste Association, 140 ITR. Feeding of Brahmins on specified religious occasions was held to be religious activity, that's Supreme Court judgment. But one needs to distinguish between religious activity and an act of charity on a particular religious day. If the act in itself is a charitable one, then it would not become religious merely because it was performed on a particular religious occasion as held in the decisions. That is Giridhararam Hariram Bhagat, that is Gujarat High Court judgment.
Today is just a thought that came, sir. I'll take 1 minute. Today is Ekadashi, and on Ekadashi is an auspicious day where people feed, many they give bhandara or whatever that feeding. Now, whether feeding on Ekadashi can be classified as religious activity or whether it is a charitable or relief of poor.
Annadan, whether it
Annadan.
can be considered Annadan.
This is the distinction that we have to suggest and we have to identify and we have to properly present it. That is my point.
So like in the case of Kashyapa Veda Research Foundation versus CIT, Cochin Tamil judgment, whether the trust for propagation of Vedas is pure religious activity or charitable activity. They have pronounced that is a charitable activity. It is not religious activity. So it depends on what way it is presented and what way you are covered in your deed also.
Now, of course, on the registration aspect, there is this new clause added, that is compliance with other laws.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So in addition to this,
If you are going for a continuation of registration after the provisional one, the CIT gives you list of 40 items, where one of the questions is how you comply with other laws.
yes,
That means whether a charity commissioner returns have been filed, whether you are complied with the other activities like change report and all those things, he is asking now. I don't know how they got educated about the change report and whatnot, but then they are asking very specifically, and now auditor has to also comment.
in addition, see, there are clauses, activities are genuine, activities are not carried out in accordance with the objects. I mean, they have to be carried out in objects. Its income does not enter. So these are the conditions. But in addition to this condition, there is a condition that activities, the trust must comply with other laws. And if that is not done, commissioner has a power to reject your registration. No, that is correct. The point is, it was not there earlier. It has now been introduced.
Yes.
That activity is not being carried out in accordance with object of the trust means compliance of all laws.
All laws.
See, with the objects of the trust is different. But compliance with law is a specific one.
But any trust like who for any reason last 3 years or 4 years is not able to do any activity. In that case also can they insist for closure of the trust or cancellation of this?
No. See, not
Having activity is not a reason.
It's not a reason. It's not a reason.
No. I could not carry out. Or people did not give me chance to serve.
Yes.
See, one more judgment of CIT Sri Radharaman Nivas Trust, that is a Madras High Court, I believe. Sankirtan and Bhandara, unless it is proved that Akhanda Nama Sankirtan, which is one type of meditation, and activity like Bhandara, which is for providing food to person, is for particular community or group of persons registered under 12AA cannot be denied to trust. So, Akhanda Nama Sankirtan, anybody can come and sit there. Object held to be charitable, providing monetary help for marriages or sacred thread ceremonies, they are considered as a charitable activity, as an object. Installation of inexpensive water seal flush latrines for the poor people as a common and general facility, Sudhab International. That was considered charitable activity. Latest amendment by 2022. Yes.
This is very important.
Intimacy about inadvertent mistake committed as an and also about revised Form 10B5 of fathers and sons.
These are the issues now being faced by.
Yes. I'm fighting every day 2 or 3 appeals or 2 or 3 condonation applications for the mistakes of not filed in time or whatever it may be. Or instead 10BB, 10B was filed. Actually, the government had given the opportunity till 31st March 2024 to rectify the defect. If you have filed 10BB when 10B was applicable, or vice versa, you are given the time. Many people have missed that deadline also. And now the things have come up. Of course, the tribunal is very wise enough to give the relief there also. So we are that way comfortable even
I
if
think we need to learn that registration is now becoming a specialized aspect, if you really see.
Yes.
12A gives conditions, and 12AB speaks of procedure. Now, 12A conditions are 4. Okay. But 12AB speaks of procedure, and 12AB, when it was introduced in April 21, was permitting 2 aspects. One is those trusts which are already enjoying registration under old 12A, and those trusts which are now applying. So between 21 and 22, all of us have tried and all of us have helped clients, those which are already registered, applied and renewed their registration for 5 years. So now their registration will end on 27. Now, during that process, some trusts were new, so they had to apply. Some trusts did not apply, did not renew for whatever reasons. Okay, so all these now are getting in process in line. And in the bargain from 22 to 25, there are so many cases that people are missing the particular clause to be selected when you are applying for registration in particular form. There are 2 forms, 10A and 10AB. Now 10A applies for old trust, that is trust which is already registered as on April 21 under old provision. So 10A applies there, or any other condition. There are 6 conditions. When you go to 12A, 1AC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there are 6 subclauses. So subclause 1 speaks of old trust which is under prior to 21 registered. 6 speaks of any other case, but what is 2, 3, 4, 5? It speaks of re-registration, that is 12A1, which is time has expired, so therefore it has to reapply. Then 12A3, where provisional registration has been received, so provision has to be regularized. Then there is registration cancelled or modification of objects, and then last is in any other case. So there are these 6 clauses. So which clause, when I'm applying for registration or renewal of registration, which clause I am falling in, that has to be understood properly. And that has to be applied properly, because merely on selecting wrong clause, many applications are being rejected. Commissioner is flooded with such applications, and rejections are there, and sir has to constantly bow down before income tax tribunal requesting them for permitting this. The point here is, right?
Yeah, I'll refer one, Bayat Kachi Dasha Oswal Jain Mahajan Trust, 2016 judgment. 22nd July 2024, the CIT exemption rejected application filed by the Assay Trust for grant of final registration under 12AB, and also cancelled provisional registration on the ground that the charitable objects of the assessee were restricted to benefit a particular religious community. Therefore, due to violation of section 13(1)(b), would not be eligible for exemption under section 11. It was held that in view of the decision of the High Court in the case of CIT exemption by Kachi Dasha Oswal Jain Mahajan Trust, the provisions of section 13 would be attracted only at the time of assessment and not at the time of grant of registration. So the assessee would not be disentitled for grant of registration on that such ground.
So as on today, whoever has, whichever trust has missed the line and wants to apply, up to October 23, the CBDT had come out with a specific circular granting permission to apply and condonation authority to the commissioner. But now with the 1st October 24, the proviso has been added to 12A, where wherever there is a delay in application, such delay can be condoned by commissioner. So therefore now it is part of the act, and this is the first time that such condonation power has become part of the act. So we should take benefit of such thing and apply properly.
Remuneration, section 13, remuneration to trustees or the kith and kin of the trustees, we should be careful. Now the son or daughter of a trustee enjoying some remuneration, we should be careful what type of remuneration she is getting, what are his or her qualifications, whether what type of compensation is demanded outside market, and accordingly we should create the necessary records. With a teacher today, I'll come to Section 13 speaks about cancellation of registration. Mind well.
I think the entire taxation aspect of the charitable trust has gone to such a large extent that probably we may have to request West India Regional Council to hold one seminar for the entire day for elaborate discussion on the aspects.
Anonymous donations is not applicable to the religious trust. Suppose there is mandir. You have not always a cash box. In previously, for the charitable trust also, we used to have box collection. Building fund एक लिखा है, एक जगह general donation लिखा है. But then the whole purpose is, when you get a capital donation, it should be the desire of the donor. Here you are putting the box, and there people put the money, and you say it's for building fund, which is not allowed. In case of Mandir Trust, they are allowed to the anonymous donation in box. Maximum MMR, which is also getting, we are getting affected by these provisions also.
See, wherever there is a cancellation, there is 115 TD will not automatically apply. In fact, MMR provisions will apply.
Yes.
115 TD speaks of the end of the, when the trust has lost its exemption, right? Now the law says that 115 TD has to be applied in rarest of the rare circumstances. MMR is to be applied for cancellation of registration.
But they do that.
They do that.
The CP is doing that.
So we should be again clear about it.
I'm way behind. Accretion,
Accretion, this is what it is.
conversion. So 5-10 minutes. Ankushi.
Next speaker is here.
I know, I could see. Some of the auditors are not aware that the TDS provisions are also applicable to trust. One. Second thing, compliance of other laws. That comes Provident Fund Act also. Now there has been a notice served on one of the cases which have come to me that you are having 23 employees. Somebody made a complaint. They had only 7 employees. But then their garden contractor, catering contractor, all these people, they merged it together and they said you have violated the Provident Fund Act. So you are covered by that. So we have to be careful if what are the employees which they are having.
Compliance with other laws.
Yeah, other laws. No, it's a CSR donation. So there is no question of TDS or TCS, nothing there.
No, but TDS section is 194. You go for, so none of those clauses
And
cover
basically,
CSR expenditure.
even the CSR fund, it's a donation, it tantamount to donation. So there is no question of any TDS provision
No,
being
TDS
attracted
will be
on it.
applicable under 194. So 194, right? All the subclauses, subsections you see, if none of them cover CSR payment, then it doesn't. But it may so happen that a contractor working under CSR may be receiving payment by this. And if you are treating it as a contract, this I have to understand. Company engaging with the trust for a CSR activity, but entering into a contract and treating trust as a contractor could be a possibility. So therefore, what are the facts? One has to
No,
say.
but then, sir, the question comes, is it a business activity for the trust?
Yes,
Then it will be hit by that other matters also.
yes.
So we should not entertain, this company should not entertain the trust being a contractor.
Therefore, again, chartered accountant's role becomes more important than.
Sponsorship, the company deduct 2% tax. I have seen all the time. Of course, it's income. It's income. But then they deduct the tax. Because it's an advertisement. So sponsorship is an advertisement. Yes, yes, yes. Sir, कुठे गेले? अरे बापरे, I'm too much behind. Huh? This now. This one. We'll just quickly go through because we have been having question answer session. So, we'll just go through quickly these slides. Now that 5 years period has been extended to 10 years with the latest
In the
budget amendment.
Budget 25.
And the new law is
In fact,
also
there-
coming in.
Yes, small trust.
Cabinet has approved the new law. So once it is tabled, 10 years, yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
That they don't have full record, so you have to re-register. So at that time there were no provisions. You have to tick one column only. So I had clicked ATG and I had obtained registration. Now they had come out with various circulars, but I missed that deadline for 12A application.
12A or ATG?
12A, I had taken registration under ATG.
But 12A you did not apply.
12A?
12A I had not applied.
No. That's what he's saying. April 21 to March 22, he applied only for ATG, did not apply for 12A.
How could you get it?
That's the query.
It is
You
there.
may be old 12A perhaps.
Yeah, I had 12A.
But old 12A did not apply.
But he did not apply.
That's right?
Yeah, because they were allowing only one box to be ticked at that time.
Sir. Okay, anyway, and you continue with query, then we'll answer.
Now, CPC is taxing full amount.
Correct.
Now, what is the remedy available?
First of all, let us understand what is our mistake. 12A and ATG are two different sections,
Yes.
two different approvals, and both the approvals were required to be renewed between April 21 to March 22 for all those trusts who were holding valid registrations prior to 21.
Okay.
Please try to understand. Right, sir? Correct me if I'm wrong. Therefore, having applied for one approval and not having applied for other means I have foregone my right of exemption of income under 11.
11.
But I am permitting my donors benefit of ATG.
Okay.
So if I don't have exemption, how can I give ATG deduction? That is one. Let's look at the situation. I'm only analyzing the situation. I'm not casting any blame anybody. Right? Having done this, therefore ATG would go invalid,
Okay.
which is again another aspect.
Okay.
But what is the solution for 12A? You will have to reapply under 10A, under 6th clause. Sir, if you proceed further,
Yeah.
further. You see, this is 1 minute.
Back?
Back. See, what is the first scenario?
Alright.
What is the first scenario?
But I am telling you, what is this, your accounts? What are the accounts? Is there a surplus? Because even if there is the trust is not having 12A,
Yeah.
it has to be calculated in particular fashion. You
Yeah.
can get relief in tribunal for all that matter.
See, here what is...
For your CPC,
Yeah.
which they have done entire gross receipt they have charged, right?
Right, sir.
So there you can go to tribunal
Yeah.
and you get a relief.
No, I'm so what is it? You had to apply before March 22,
Right.
the time given, right?
Yeah.
Now you don't fall under this scenario,
Okay.
okay? So therefore you will have to go under scenario 6, because scenario 2 speaks of what? it says register under 12AB and the period is due to expire. Now, since you are not registered, scenario 2 is not applicable. Scenario 3 is for provisional registration, that is also not applicable in your case. Scenario 4 is for inoperative, which is also not applicable in your case. Scenario 5 is adopted under modification objects, which is also not in your case. Therefore, you fall under scenario 6 and any other case. And in this case, right, last one, at least 1 month prior to the commencement of previous year relevant. Now this, so therefore you will have to apply for 10A, right? Now the new proviso added from October 24 permits commissioner to condone your delay. Therefore you must apply under 10A saying, what are the reasons why you did not? Commissioner will permit only for genuine reasons. Then you go there, request him for re-registration. It was actually available up to October 23. You missed the bus, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Now you can do that with that proviso benefit, apply under 10A and claim with condonation, that is route number 1. Or route number 2, as sir has said, approach income tax tribunal under CPC, against CPC order,
Yes.
commissioner, and go there.
Okay.
That is the
Thank
I'll
you, sir.
try to forward you the judgment,
Yeah.
citation, tomorrow or day after, on Monday, Tuesday.
Okay, sir.
Whether, even if the trust is not reached under 12A,
Yeah.
how it can be dealt with, the tribunal has given the judgment on that.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
They get two separate registration, 12A and 18A.
Yes.
12A is cancelled and automatically 18A gets cancelled.
ATG doesn't get cancelled, but ATG will not get cancelled automatically because both are not connected. Both will be connected at the assessment stage. That's what sir has said. That, see, actually, ATG will be denied when 12A is cancelled at the assessment stage, and they have to intimate. And once it is intimated to the assessing officer will intimate to the donees, their respective, because under 10 BD. So there will be a colossal, the demand.
Consequential.
Consequential. But that is, so therefore the immediate answer is you go for 12A and regularization.
But then in ATG, while doing the form also, for renewal, sir, we don't select the proper subclass, sub 1, 2, 3, 4. We always make a mistake. And then it is bound to get rejected by the CIT exemption. So while filling up the form, you are doing provisional registration, which should be regularized now. What section you should select, what subclass, subsection you should select. Very careful.
Sir, here. Sir, registration application was done, 10A was filed, but instead of 5 years, they got only 3 years.
Provisional registration.
Provisional registration was
Provisional.
given instead of 5 years.
Yes.
And now the provisional registration is coming to an end, say here, now. And they have made a fresh application, form 10AB was filed. Now they are saying that since you have claimed exemption before, this will get rejected. Because under ATG, you shouldn't have claimed exemption before. So we filed 2 forms, one for 12A and one for ATG. So 12A we got 5 years, but for ATG they gave only 3 years.
Yes.
When I approached the officers, he said that you must have made some mistake in filing a form because there was no human involved.
Yeah.
Based on filing of your form, is there any way out? Can we claim the ATG?
No, but now you have got 3 years, right?
So now we have 3 years, which is ending on
March 25.
This March 25.
So
Yeah.
6 months before that, you should apply.
So we have already made an application,
Okay.
and 10AB is already filed.
Okay.
But he's planning to reject it. That is what I get to know from the officer.
You will have to approach commissioner for the delay in condonation.
Condonation of delay and
Yes.
file it again. Form 10A has to be filed for that.
No. You have 12AB, right?
Yeah.
5 years. You have 12A registration for 5 years. That's
Yeah.
what you said.
Yeah.
He is
Which
ATG,
is-
he has a ATG problem.
So ATG problem, yeah.
No, 12A is valid for 27.
Yes.
ATG is for valid, which is ending to 25, right?
Yes.
You make an application
Right.
and approach commissioner for delay in condonation.
Condone the delay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Is it a Bombay case?
It's a Bombay case.
It's a difficult proposition in Bombay income tax.
The
We were just
principal-
discussing outside.
Yes, principal CIT exemption is little, at their IT headquarters, and both are
IT
little,
headquarters also very tough
harsh
person.
and tough cases actually. I mean, I also look at it from their point of view because it's a machine-driven application. So they don't have any, in fact, interference in that. At many times they have said we can't do anything.
In
Yes.
in one of my clients' case, 80G application for final registration was rejected in AY 22-23 for some reason. Now, when currently we are reapplying for the final registration, so the income tax side is throwing an error for rejected cases filed with section code 09 and so. Refiling is only allowed in the same assessment year for which rejection order was passed.
Obviously, you have lost that year. So now you will be allowed in the previous
Current year.
current year.
It will current date
But
you will
it
get.
is not allowing me to select the correct subsection.
That's what I say. Well, it is 80G, right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. You know, there are 5 subsections. We have to be very careful when you go through that, see that what is applicable to you, and then only you select it.
But
Otherwise, again,
the
you have
appropriate subsection is not being listed there. It is throwing
you
a-
may be putting 22, 23, or 23, 24. Put it
even in the,
25,
so
26.
when I'm putting the current assessment year itself, it is throwing me that I should have applied in that assessment year itself, reapplied when the rejection happened. Currently, it's not allowing me to reapply. So any solution for that?
You have to see the actual papers. We have to see. We can
Because
see
there's no such provision under the Act which states that in such rejected cases, you have to apply in reapply in the same assessment year.
no, there is no
But
provision
the
that.
website is throwing this error.
Let us see. You show me the
Yeah,
the
I'll show
exact
you.
forms. You can send it across to me.
Okay.
Of earlier forms also. You know, ATG when it was granted, and what form you had filled in, and now what form you are trying to fill in.
Okay.
On. Everywhere this problem is getting. Everywhere.
Yeah, excuse me, we'll do one thing, sir. आपका presentation हो गया है क्या?
How?
Then we will take the few question answers.
Yes.
Let him first complete his presentation.
The present almost, I mean, over.
First let him.
We are having a
First
question.
let him
answer,
wind
okay?
up. Then we will take 2-3 questions.
And there is again a distinction. Commencement activity and 6 months prior to the end of the your period.
Six months prior, you have to apply. You have to apply. Under provisional case, you have to apply 6 months prior.
But I'm afraid from next year on, I think they'll remove that condonation provision also, in all
Yes,
probability.
Yes.
Except then you have to go to tribunal, because you can explain the
Because
the reason for
commissioners and tribunals are flooded with this kind of
delay.
applications.
Yes. Now you file the appeal in tribunal for trust or other cases also, you get a date in 1 month. Immediately you get a hearing. And they are very proactive, as I said, so you are likely to get a relief in tribunal. This commencement activity, the problematic provision, commencement activities. What is commencement activities? Like one which you have said, that 4 years they have not done anything. Now what is activity?
There is no thumb rule.
I think we are end up with this. Whatever is best we could try to do. Yes.
The presentation will be hosted in the website and you all have to download it from there. Individual mail नहीं आएगा किसी को presentation का. So we can quickly take 1-2 questions, not more than that. मैं देता हूँ.
So we are having
Thank you very much for
12A.
patient hearing.
Sir, if you are having 12A or ATG till validity till the 31st March 25, what would be the ideal time to reapply?
September 24, 6 months before.
Then what, if you are not applied, then what would be the provision?
Apply immediately and ask for condonation of delay.
Okay.
सर आई हैव द क्लाइंट उन्होंने रजिस्ट्रेशन किया 12A का उनको provisional मिला. His to do work is he upload the video on YouTube. He has his channel, and he just appeal that there is flood and just donate through Google Pay or something online link. So people donate like 1 rupee, 2 rupee. So his main registration for 12A has been rejected. Ki there were no documents or there were no lack of information. So in this case, how can we deal? There is a very big question for that.
It's like a payment gateway, but not any details. So it becomes anonymous donation, all that matter.
Yeah.
It becomes anonymous donation because you are not cutting any receipts for that. You are not issuing receipts for that, right?
Okay.
And you are not able to identify the donors also. Who are the donors?
So we have the name, we have the photographs also that they are donating this amount.
But 12 is rejected on what count? Document evidence?
Yeah, we have the photographs and the UPI IDs and the name and signature of that donors.
Yes. No, but activity also. What is activity?
Activity they have commenced.
Already commence their activity.
But
See,
what is activity? I mean,
by promoting
uploading
videos on YouTube,
Yeah.
activities commenced. So
In that
activity has
case,
started.
this
the
is a
videos,
practical.
are they charitable in nature?
Yes.
The activity, does it tantamount to charitable nature?
Yes, they actually help
it is-
that flooded people,
It is
people who have-
education. It is education and charitable,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So
You have to
therefore,
fight out. If the CIT is rejected,
Yeah.
they have to go to tribunal.
No, but-
proper explanation should be there.
but the point is,
Point is-
there is no name of donor. The basic
No,
details.
I have
She
the
has-
name, but there is no PAN number. There is no other information, address, and all that, which is mentioned in
Are you
17
registered
AA.
under ATG? No.
Yes,
You are registered under ATG.
yes.
Are you passing
Both
on
provisional.
ATG? Are you
Both-
passing on ATG? No. Are you passing on ATG certificate?
Yes.
But
No,
what-
no certificates.
Because your amounts
Are you filing 10 BD?
Yes.
Are you filing 10 BD?
Yes, yes.
How could you file 10 BD if you don't have name and address?
I have
PAN
the
number?
name only, not an address.
Not an address and PAN also.
Address and PAN also.
Yeah.
So how could 10 BD be there? Difficult. See, the questions is when you go to tribunal, they would be asking all these sorts of questions. That is the
So
difficult.
what is the remedy for this such kind of cases?
See, I tell you, for our trust, I mean, for whether trust I'm a trustee or connected, what we have done, we have we have got a tie with the bank, and they have devised a QR code. And when you are putting QR code, the whole form comes in, the name, address, PAN, and unless you fill up all the things, the submit button will not come. Something of that sort you have to come out with. Something of that sort.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, we'll end the session here.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Both
all
of
the
us are happy for
participants.
patient hearing.
I know many questions are still there in the mind, but because of paucity of time, we'll have to complete the session here. And I request Kaushik to give a formal vote of thanks to both our learned speakers.
If there is any shortcomings in our presentation, that is our own. But whatever is the, we could do good work for the presentation, it is my Sadguru. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
What an incredible session. Hope you all enjoyed. Yes. Thank you so much, sir, for this insightful and the engaging session. Your knowledge and the passion for the subject was incredible. I appreciate your time and efforts which you have put for preparing this presentation and giving this insightful session. We all thank you for all your outstanding contribution to this session. I request all of you to please give a huge round of applause to CA Sanjeev Brahme sir and CA Vijay Joshi sir. Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Ankush Gupta ji to please take over this session.